a friend of mine who was a Pentecostal pastor and did radio shows for Pentecostal radio. We've been best friends for 10 years, probably the smartest man I know, named Al Cresta. And he was talking with me one time over dinner, and he says, Steve, I have to tell you something. My wife and I have decided to join the Catholic Church. What? You're too smart. What is that? The stupidest thing I've ever heard. That's exactly what I said to him. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You're way too smart to be a Catholic. And he said, we've decided we're going to be. So my wife and I said, let him go. Let him go sit in the pews with all that dead wood. They don't read their Bibles. They don't evangelize. They can't even sing. Which you proved me wrong on that one tonight. So I decided I was going to prove Al Cresta wrong. I decided that if he knew the Bible as well as I do, that's what we always argued about the Bible whenever we were together. So this is one of those times where I say, you know, we have differing opinions. We always did. We were always arguing. So I said, I'm going to go read the writings of the very first Christians. I know now they're called Apostolic Fathers, Church Fathers. And I'm going to show him that they were really Protestants, and the Catholic Church only got corrupted with Catholic stuff and nonsense and all these extra traditions in the Middle Ages. But the very first Christians were really good, pure Protestants. And then I could get him to leave the Catholic Church and come back to being what the very first Christians were. So I started reading the Apostolic Fathers. Bad idea. The more I read them, the more I realized they were not Protestant. They were distinctly Catholic. We used to think that the early church was Protestant and it got started, and then a bunch of priests from pagan religions came in and corrupted it all, and it became the Catholic Church. But the real believers were kind of going underground, and they didn't see anybody until Martin Luther came and he brought real Christianity back to the surface again. But when I went back and read those early Christians, the first ones from the first century who knew Peter and Paul and John, and I made a movie about this called The Apostolic Fathers Handing on the Faith. I filmed it in Turkey and Israel and Italy, everywhere where these fathers lived, and I proved by their life that they were thoroughly Catholic in the first century. Saint Ignatius of Antioch, who was ordained a priest by Peter, said in 106 AD, beware of the heretics who refuse to partake of the Eucharist because they deny that it's the very same body and blood of Jesus that died on the cross. Did you hear that? Does that sound very Protestant to you? He was calling those who deny the body and blood of Christ heretics, because they denied that it was the body and blood of Christ. From the first century, all Christians knew and believed and would die for the fact that this became the body and blood of Jesus at the hand of these wonderful men up here in the front. So when I read these things, I said, wait a minute, the early Christians were Catholic. If they are, then how come I'm not?